Mr. Carson, having taught the young men about justice, returned to the unjust city of St. Louis. There his homestead would continue to be the image of the good life for many sensitive young men the world over. Mr. Prudentialist, having remained as dry as the wasteland itself, returned home to New Texas in sober spirits. There he would set about the labor of writing his stories down, while continuing to study pre-war policies with his super mutant friend, Giant Geo. Dave the Distributist, avoiding boomer moments on his way home through the ruins of Memphis, left a lasting impression as to what the basic bare minimum belief of a movement needs to be to survive in the wasteland. Many young men would seek to de-atomize their personhood as a result, springing brighter souls in the fallen world. Oron McIntyre, confident he would win his bet with academic agent, traveled home with a sense of foreboding. As the bird machines were delayed and the roads went unkempt on his way home, it became apparent that he would need a new sign to tap soon. Esau, having laid out the metrics to filter undesirables, returned to the land of Canuckistan. There, he would continue to face the raiders of post-apocalyptic leafs as they pulled the very foundations out of their heritage. But he would seek to build a new one. Liquid Swan would return to his longboat and face the longhouses of Canuckistan. Although the leaf raiders were many, he returned with a mighty rake to face them. Not Me, Not You would return to New England's ashes to face the growing ravages of the wasteland. There he would set up a local Old Glory club and begin to form sensitive young men into leaders. Mr. Grant Brooks, having defended the English canon as a foundation of American culture that should survive the apocalypse, returned home to contribute to that canon as much as he could. Although the growing illiteracy around him would make this a challenge, he would endure. Mr. Bagby would continue to defend the honor of his ancestors against the growing raider menace. Eventually, he would form a school of thought to propagate this honor at the peripheral, even as the American core subsumed into the wastes. Micah Paul would return and continue growing dissident manufacturing. Even as the raiders of the wastes sought to destroy all of America's great industries, he would lay a foundation to restore it. Something raiders could not stop was ideas. Charlemagne, having given his speech on building coalitions in times of trial, set out into the ashes of the wasteland. He trekked through the scorched ruins of Memphis and arrived at the aeroport, hoping to find a rare, still functional mechanical bird machine. The locals struggled to understand what he meant at first, having lost the memory of standard English. Charlie had learned some Ebonics from his days in the South and attempted to barter a ticket with some trinkets. Days passed as the rot of the wasteland blew against his blonde hair. Eventually, the native tribes did roll out an aeroplaner and found a pilot from amongst their hostages. The pilot, thankful Charlie would grant him freedom, managed to get as far as Chicago. But as Charlie soon learned, traveling from one ramshackle failed city to another is hardly a completed journey. Surrounded by the ashes of what was once America's heartland, Charlie became one with the wastes. He set out to carve out his own empire amongst the steel caves, worthy of his namesake, he hoped. He donned the armband and went forth. Jay Burden, having successfully agreed with everyone he could communicate with, hearkened the call back to the East Coast. For a moment, he fathomed if he still hated Rod Dreher. After his daydream caused him to tip over several glass jugs of various liquids, he accepted he still very much so did. After nearly being killed by a local Shibu poorly driving down some ruined roads, he remembered he had no heirs, and looked forward to making some when he got home. Clossington, having run out of phone numbers to make new accounts on for his various bans and suspensions, looked out into the wasteland and contemplated the decline. He wondered how many of the crumbling bridges around him would be future work. He got into his car and headed home. Squire Turnipseed, refreshed from friends from across the wasteland, returned to the fields of Oklahoma to face his Church of the Ashes. There he would put up a strong defense for the ancient ways against those marching to join the wasteland raiders, where they hoped to destroy all that is holy. Many pastors would join his cause, stirring a reformation of the heartland churches and rejecting the wasteland's call to fall to madness. And so the second U.S. event ended in much the same way it began: handshakes, phone number exchanges, and general good cheer. They had come from far and wide, drawn by the allure of unity in thought and the promise of a new era. As they gazed upon the sunrise, casting its golden hues upon the waters of the Tennessee River, a sense of camaraderie was shared by all. But as the twilight gave way to dawn, a subtle realization took hold. While their shared ideas may have provided solace, they also carried the weight of the age in which they lived, progress unto extinction. They saw that restoring America could not be achieved by dwelling solely on the echoes of yesteryear's memes and tweets, but by embracing the challenges and opportunities of the present. And so as they dispersed, and in time, they would find a balance between cherishing the lessons of history and forging a foundation. For in the wasteland of ideas, where ideologies collide, true strength lies not in unwavering nostalgia, but in the ability to learn, adapt, and chart a course toward a better tomorrow. The gathering at Pickwick Landing Dam became a testament to this goal, reminding all that in a world forever changing, true progress is found not in hiding, but in fighting the war of belief. Because war never changes.